I appreciate you joining me today. I hope you're having a good day. We are going to be looking at the account of a woman who was caught in adultery in John chapter 8. Our hymn today, I'm not going to I'll you'll see what it is and the title tells you what it is. But we are the source that this song is coming from, and let me go look myself again. It's coming from a group of sacred harp singers, and it's the Sacred Harp Singers of Cork. This is in Ireland, is where this is coming from. And if you don't know what Sacred Harp Singers are, because it's a little different, they go through and they are focusing on the notes first. And you'll hear it in just a second. I'm going to include the link to the YouTube video this is coming from. I'm also going to include the link of the Sacred Harp Singers of Cork. I'll include all that down in the description. I would encourage you to go check it out. And anyway, as I said, it's a little different. So the first time you hear it through, you're just going to be hearing notes. And then the second time, you'll have the song. But here it is. Let's go look at our passage now. We are in John chapter 8. Let me move the screen up, pardon me. In John chapter 8, Jesus went to the Mount of Olives. Now early in the morning, he came again into the temple, and all the people came to him, and he sat down and taught them. Then the scribes and the Pharisees brought to him a woman caught in adultery. And when they had set her in the midst, they said to him, Teacher, this woman was caught in adultery in the very act. Now Moses in the law commanded us that such should be stoned, but what do you say? This they said, testing him, that they might have something of which to accuse him. But Jesus stooped down and wrote on the ground with his finger, as though he did not hear. So when they continued asking him, he raised himself up and said to them, He who is without sin among you, let him throw a stone at her first. Those who heard it, being convicted, he stooped down and wrote on the ground. Those who heard it being convicted by their conscience went out one by one, beginning with the oldest even to the last, and Jesus was left alone, and the woman standing in the midst. When Jesus had raised himself up and saw no one but the woman, he said to her, Woman, Where are those accusers of yours? Has no one condemned you? She said, No one, Lord. And Jesus said to her, Neither do I condemn you. Go and sin no more. What points might we make as we think about love divine, all loves excelling? They bring the woman to Jesus, but this they said, testing him. They didn't really care about the woman. And that's how some people are. Some people, they just don't care about others. They don't care who they hurt with their words, with their deeds. They just don't care. They don't love others. They love themselves. Maybe they love their friends. But the real test of whether we love like the Lord loves is whether we love our enemies. And some people just don't care. They just don't care about others beyond their clique. It's great sadness, isn't it? They didn't care about this woman. Another point we can make, though, is as they come to him, Jesus stoops down and he writes on the ground with his finger. And he says what he says, He who is without sin among you, let him throw a stone at her first. And again he stoops down and writes on the ground. And those who heard it, being convicted by their conscience, went out one by one, beginning with the oldest to the last. The Lord has quite the ability to test the testers. They came testing him, and he turns around and he tests them. And that's a wonderful thing, because sometimes we do not love like we should, and sometimes we do mistreat people. And the Lord still cares about us and wants to convict our conscience because he loves us. He loved all those individuals, but they needed to think about what they were doing. They needed to think about themselves. They needed to realize that they also were sinners. And so we need to think about ourselves. The Lord has a unique way of testing the testers. So then, as he stoops down and writes on the ground and everybody leaves, and Jesus finally raises himself up and saw no one but the woman, and he says, Where are they? She says, There's no one here. Jesus said to her, Neither do I condemn you. Go and sin no more. Has no one condemned you? She said, No one, Lord. And Jesus said to her, Neither do I condemn you. Go and sin no more. The compassion that he had. Had she sinned? Yeah. Go and sin no more. Love divine, all loves excelling. Jesus, thou art all compassion. We think about the Lord. We think about the Lord. Hope you have a good day. Appreciate you joining me. Hope the brief study has been helpful. Check out, if you have a chance, check out the links below. And hope you appreciated that rendition. Lee will be back tomorrow. Have his recording for tomorrow. And I always appreciate the work he does. But anyway, hope you have a good day. Join us tomorrow for another portion of our Daily Praise.